All right, everyone. Good evening, and good evening. We are going to go ahead and get our regular board meeting started. The time is now 7:02. If you please call the roll.
Trustee Williams. Trustee Sanchez.
Here.
Trustee Jones.
Here.
Trustee Lightford.
Here.
Trustee Peppers.
Here.
Trustee Brandon.
Here.
Mayor Booker.
Here.
Quorum present.
All right. If we could all please rise for the pledge, and then we have our chaplain here, so we'll welcome us in prayer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. Let us bow for a word of prayer. Good and loving God, we gather this evening to conduct the people's business once again. And we thank you for affording us another opportunity to convene. Clothe us now with wisdom, humility, patience, and love. Bless the vital work that this board and the mayor conducts on behalf of the residents of the village of Maywood, who need and expect services, safety, economic development, recreation, education, and overall better quality of life in their community. Allow them to rise to the challenges that come with governing. Allow politics to take a back seat to progress and to turn differences into compromise, strife into strategy, rivalries into mutually beneficial partnerships, critiques into compliments, and deficits to surpluses. Place a hedge of protection around our residents, first responders, and staff, keeping them safe from all hurt, harm, and danger. Give us all the grace to serve well and ultimately be well. It is in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right. Need approval of the minutes from the village board meeting of the Board of Trustees for Tuesday, April 15th. Motion to approve. Second. Motion to approve by Trustee Sanchez. Second by Trustee Peppers. Please call the roll.
Trustee Williams. Trustee Sanchez.
Aye.
Trustee Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Lightfoot. Trustee Pepper.
Aye.
Trustee Brandon.
Aye.
Mayor Booker.
Aye.
Motion carried.
All right, follow up Ms. Banks for oaths, reports, proclamations, announcements, and appointments.
Good evening, Mayor and Board of Trustees.
Good evening. Good evening.
We would like to extend birthday wishes to one of our Maywood residents, Miss Irma Lynn Perlette, in celebration of her 96th birthday, which we celebrated with her on this past Saturday. We ask you that you keep all families in the village of Maywood who are experiencing bereavement during this time in your thoughts and prayers. During the month of May, we recognize Mental Health Month, Mother's Day, and Cinco de Mayo. Upcoming events, there is a Mother's Day luncheon on this Friday, May 10th at 12 p.m. at the Maywood Masonic Temple at 200 South 5th Avenue. On Saturday, May 11th is the Civil War Living History event, which will be held at First and Lake at the Soldiers' Widows Home from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. There will be a volunteer informational meeting on next Tuesday, May 14th at 6 p.m. here in the council chambers. There will be a youth summer experiences resource fair on Saturday, May 18th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Maywood Park District. Families can come and find out all about information and programs that will be happening this summer for their youth. The State of Maywood 2024 will be held on Thursday, May 23rd at 12 p.m. at the Maywood Masonic Temple at 200 South 5th Avenue. Join us for 2 ribbon cuttings that have just been confirmed. New Era Restaurant at 15 North 5th Avenue on Saturday, May 18th at 3 p.m. and the new Starbucks restaurant at 1st and Harrison Street on Friday, May 24th at 10 a.m. To stay abreast about all of the programs and events that are coming in the Village of Maywood, visit our website at maywood-il.gov or follow us on social media or sign up for My Civic.
What were those times again?
I'm sorry?
What were those times again?
I'll see you an email, but it'll be Starbucks on 1st and Harrison on Friday, May 24th at 10 a.m. and New Era Restaurant at 15 North 5th Avenue on Saturday, May 18th at 3 p.m. for the ribbon cuttings.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Banks. Going on to financial reports. Are there any questions in regards to financial management reports? Hearing none, we'll go on to village president report.
Actually, Mayor, I have a question.
Trustee.
I don't have the check number up right now. There was a payment made to Julio. Like a transaction.
Oh, that's putting together the figures and impact report that's going to be given at May 23rd. So it's like a 100-page report that goes over the impact in regards to different things. So reports from like things that have happened at Public Works, Building and Code, Community Development. He's putting together the report, working with the team to put it together.
He's still working. And it's going to, you know, when it's going to, well, I guess I'm
May
wondering.
23rd.
It won't be available before, like, the day or two before.
Oh, yeah.
But could the board have a copy of that before it's, okay.
But it's literally just an annual impact report. But he's doing it because we never had one, so he's doing the last 3 years. All
All
of
right.
that.
I just be interested to see it, before the, to get work at.
All right, so credits report, 9 status report, approval of an application. Does anybody have any questions? Because that's actually on the other side. Does anybody have any questions under the village president's report before we go to public comment? Hearing none, we'll open up for public comment.
Chastity Keys.
I don't think she's here, but she's going to give an announcement. Oh, there's a couple flyers there, for the Revival Township Truth to God that's happening in November. If you're interested, there's a flyer on this table here. There's also a community walk that's happening in the evening, so on Monday and Wednesday at Revival Weeks for just individuals that want to get out and walk. There's Brighter Minds and Chassis are connected to this engagement folks. So if you're interested, there's flyers right there.
Vicky Haas.
Haas.
Can you hear me okay, or do I need to?
I think
Well, it's for the YouTube.
So I use this for the.
You press the button, you should see a green light,
Oh,
and then you gotta talk into the mic.
okay. How about this? All right. So I'm Vicki Haas. I'm Vice Chair of the Maywood Historic Preservation Commission. And I am really pleased that with a little hiatus from the pandemic, we are putting on the 9th Civil War Living History event this coming Saturday, the 11th, from 10 a.m. to 4. And we have actors, volunteer actors, who portray both white and colored troops of the Civil War Union armies. And they demonstrate musket firings, field cooking. You come, some of you have been there before, I know, and do come. Bring your family, your friends, your neighbors, your clients, anybody. Maywood was founded by Civil War veterans. It's named after the daughter of one of them. And just come and learn a lot. Thank you. There are flyers up here on the table.
Thank you. All right. Thank you for the comment, Ms. Hobbs. And then, again, there's different flyers on the table. Do we have anything for the village manager's report? Any questions for village manager's report? Hearing none.
Actually, I did.
Trustee Brandon.
Yes, I do have a comment. I did read the report, and thank you for the well wishes, Jim, that you had in the report. I am still awaiting, I know I mentioned this for quite some time, the study that was done as it relates to the Prayer Hampton Coup. You can email that over to, I guess, the board as a whole. I know we had talked about that some time ago. I've received that email about that, but it was assessment.
It was copied under my report. It was either in March or February, but I'll resend.
Yes.
I know there was one time it didn't get, and that was my fault, that I didn't attach it, and the next month I put it in there, but I probably didn't make notice of it, so I'll send it back out.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Trustee Jones.
Yeah, I wanted to, I know you got the information in the packet, but just maybe for the public, if you could maybe give us just a couple minutes on, there was some feedback as it relates to the presentation given for the, I think it's 30 West Madison, the former golf course, and do you have a status update on in here? There were some questions about, when we initially received the property, we were under the impression there was a limit to what we could do, and so I was hoping maybe you could address that, and then I know I kind of stated some comments in terms of just, I thought it was, in theory, it sounds great, but that kind of mirrors what the use was previously, but I know there were some numbers mentioned in terms of capacity and parking, and he addresses, I want to know if the village had a stance after kind of hearing our feedback from a village manager perspective, as far as community development, if you all had just any feedback that you wanted to maybe give to the community as it relates to just that status update, and then,
Yeah, well, you're correct. Angela and the Community Development Department has taken the lead in this, and there's been email communications back and forth between that department and the developer, asking for very specific information for probably a good 8 or 10 items on our list. Everything from, we needed some additional financial information, we needed some more drawings, we needed some more timelines. There's a whole long list of things. The because that information is not always quick to turn around, we weren't able to get it onto the agenda for tonight. So the hope is we get that in the next few weeks, and there's a good possibility that I could turn around and be back to the June agenda, or we can keep everybody up to date on what that stands. So that's still a work in progress. They've been very cooperative, the developers, so they've been submitting the information that we've been asking for, but it's still on us to go through it all and evaluate everything. And then with regards to the question of whether or not when the property was transferred from the land bank to the village, I may kick this over to Mike, but my understanding is that when the property was deeded, whatever restrictions had been talked about or contemplated never made its way to the deed. And I think, I wasn't here, so I don't want to say something that is incorrect, but I do believe that that was not by accident. I think it was more of a conscious decision, so as not to tie the hands of the village when or if they wanted to do something with it. And Mike or Mayor, I'll let you guys comment if I'm wrong at that.
New Jersey.
That is correct. Yeah, there was conversation, I shared with you those meeting minutes in the packet where the staff made certain representations that the Cook County Land Bank was looking to impose some type of deed restriction on future use of the 30 Madison Street site by the village. Those conditions that were discussed ultimately were dropped by the land bank. They were not part of the land bank's term sheet that laid the groundwork for the purchase and sale agreement terms. There was no restrictions in the purchase and sale agreement, and likewise no deed restrictions or use restrictions on the quitclaim deed that the village received. So, the village owns the property. It's yours to decide to sell it, to purpose it, without any deed restrictions from the Cook County Land Bank.
Okay, and I just want to, maybe just one more follow-up, or maybe just verifying question again for the public and the board for that matter. So, the current status of the property now, for anyone at this point, are we looking to, because, okay, let's take a step back. And this might be where Trustee Brandon was going last meeting, but since I think we're all under the impression that those restrictions were on the property, and so now since it's been clarified that it's not, as it relates to whatever we're going to do with it, like, selling the property or whatever, just so people know, is the property for sale currently? I know we are entertaining this, but is the property for sale? I mean, and then what?
So, I think to answer your question, the best way to do, trustee, before we allow that business to come and do a full presentation to this community, we all sat in closed session and agreed to a letter of intent with the sale price that we agreed to go for in regards to that business. So right now, as it stands, we all agreed at the last board meeting, after they gave the presentation with all of their financials and things that they've invested time and money into, that we would allow staff and legal to put together the RDA agreement. The next step for the board would be to actually see what the final RDA agreement would be, which is what the village manager is saying, possibly to come back in June, or possibly come back at a later time. So once we get the RDA agreement, at that point in time, when we're reviewing the RDA agreement and have the business back here, if another entity wanted to, at that time, say when we have the public hearing, that they are interested in the property as well, they could do that. But as this board, we have already agreed to a sales price for a developer, and we actually have staff and them working on over $100,000 in investment just to get to the RDA agreement. So I would say if the board or somebody on the board was interested in somebody else purchasing the property or coming in at that last minute, it would not be the best light of the village to have a developer invest their time, energy, and funds and resources into saying we're entertaining something else versus if another business came, we would entertain it because that's what the hearing is for.
And I guess just to clarify, because you are kind of going that where I was going. How did this business, or any business for that matter, kind of know that the property was for sale? Like, or just with any of our property in general, how would someone know if you have property for sale or not for sale? Like, what does that look like? Not just this book. Like, I'm talking about this property in general. Like, so how do we know? I guess I wasn't moving forward? Is that how we should be saying?
So in general, if it's this specific property,
Yeah, that's,
this board unanimously agreed to a sales purchase price. This board unanimously agreed to go into a redevelopment. So that specific property is not on the table until we actually review and vote on the redevelopment agreement. If somebody chooses to come to the hearing when we have a redevelopment agreement conversation, that's on them. But at this time, we unanimously had legal and staff work with this specific developer to get us to the RDA agreement status. If there's any other property that they're interested in the village of Maywood, Michelle was our attention and retraction coordinator. So Michelle is the person who will hold everything in community development. She goes over properties and businesses and possibilities with different developers or potential interests every day. It's her job. So attention and retraction is all she does. So if somebody is interested in a property in the village of Maywood, whether they see a for sale sign or not, if it's vacant or if it's a lot, they can just contact Michelle.
Mayor.
Trustee Bray.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this very plainly. I heard what you have stated, and I've heard what Attorney General have stated. I have really yet to hear from the Director of Economic Development as it relates to this particular property. And what really calls for concern is this board was either misinformed or misled by either the Community Development Director or the attorney when this property was acquired from the Cook County Land Bank. I've been very engaged as it relates to this particular property, how we got it, the parameters surrounding the property. The board was never informed at no particular time from either Jerusik or Angela Smith as it relates to anything changing or anything being outside of or taken out of the whole deed process. The proper step or the proper process should have been if they were informed or aware that this property, the conditions change as it relates to what we can do with this property, it should have been brought back before the board. And so that's why I had asked at the last meeting, or 2 meetings ago, and then I did get it from staff, as it relates to the agreement between the Cook County Land Bank as well as the Village of Maywood. Because Director Smith, I was present and highly engaged in this meeting, when we acquired the property from the Cook County Land Bank, stated very clearly, and Attorney Jerusik was at the meeting when it was stated that the Village of Maywood could not do anything with the property because of how the village acquired the property from the Cook County Land Bank. So there was over $1 million and something in back old taxes that were owed on this particular property. And so by it being in the hands of the Cook County Land Bank, they were able to clear it up of all of the back old taxes on the property. And so when the presentation was made to us, and the information that we communicated to the Cook County Land Bank, it was stated that the village will utilize the property for municipal purposes. And so if any of that information changed along the way, at any given point, the proper process would have been to bring it back in front of this governing body to inform us that this particular property now could be marketed and could be sold. The Village of Maywood, at no time, at no point, and I don't know if I'm not, if anybody else was aware, was not promoting this property as a property that was a sellable property because of what we were all under the impression of. We couldn't sell the property because of how we acquired it by the Cook County Land Bank. So what really is interesting is how this whole deal came about. I find it quite interesting, to be honest, because, like my colleague stated, how did anybody know it was for sale if we wasn't selling the property and if we were all under pressure that it wasn't for sale, and then we had one particular person came and showed some interest, and now we were moving shotgun forward in regards to selling the property. It was presented all at one time that we were going to sell it and give it away all at one time. So it seems like it was a rushed process. It almost seems, it appears that it was, like closed door or like back room type of situation, because this board was not informed that the property was even for sale. So that's what really caused me, because I was telling everybody who was interested in property based on what staff and legal told us at a board meeting that was recorded, that's on the record, that the property could not be sold because of how we received it from the Cook County Land Bank. So that's really my concern, and it's nothing but really to staff and to legal and to whoever was the manager at that time in regards to how the property even came about in this whole ordeal, because the board should have been notified, and we should have been marketing the property with every other property. It shouldn't have been like this whole surprise situation, like we're being rushed and pushed into a corner to only have to deal with one person, and we didn't even know the property was for sale to begin with. And so that's what caused this concern for me, that this board was either misled or misinformed or wasn't informed at all about real estate that we own, that we had no knowledge that we could even do anything with the property, because what was communicated to us by legal and by the community development director when we acquired the property. And I know there's been some changes or switches. Maybe that had something to do with it, because that was back when David Myers was here. I don't know, but whenever this thing came open, like we could do something else with the property, it should have came back to this board. We should have been properly informed so that we could properly market and have a conversation on what is our collective vision as a board of what we want to see done with the property, not us being pushed into a corner and being forced to go with one particular person because we're trying to just expedite everything. It's okay to have development. We want to also make sure that we're doing getting things right as well. And we were not properly informed about this particular property that we have and we're acquired from Cook County Land Bank adjacent to the Village Hall. All of these things are important because where the property sits, the conditions of the property as well, and the other different aspects as it relates to this particular property. So that's a lot of cause for concern here. And again, we were either misinformed or misled by staff and by the attorney as it relates to what our capabilities was with this particular property.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, and before we move on to the village attorney's report, I just want to be real clear. We're talking about some paperwork that came from Community Development Department that would have been 3 to 4 years ago at this point with an entirely different director. But what I will say, trustee, is just like every other piece of land bank property that the village of Maywood votes on to receive, it gets placed on our board packet. So if there was something 4 or 5 years ago that you wanted to make sure was in the deed transfer, it wouldn't have been on the attorney to bring to your attention. It wouldn't have been on the village community development department to bring to your attention. It would have been to your attention to say, hey, I see this contract on the board packet. It's missing this language. At this point, it's not rushed. At the end of the day, I know that multiple people have spoken to community development about the property. This just happened to be an actual thing that came to an official letter of intent. So when an official letter of intent comes into play, that's when the board comes into play. We're in May, so to say that you voted for the letter of intent and the purchase price in March, and then in April, you received a presentation from the developer and then agreed where you voted for the developer to put together an RDA agreement with community development and with legal. That's nothing rushed. And to say today, because they're not rushing and still putting together the paperwork, we don't even have the RDA agreement to look at because it's not ready yet. At that time, we can deal with this, but literally, the only reason this is even on the board packet is to acknowledge that there's nowhere in the deed that says we can't sell it. That is the only reason it's on the agenda tonight. So all of this conversation is really a moot point. But I'm gonna, trustee, we're definitely gonna go to village attorney's report, because we can discuss this when the RDA agreement is actually before us. Literally, the only reason it's on here is as a report to provide the fact that you asked for the deed.
Yep.
It was provided to you.
Yeah, it was.
It does not say we cannot sell it. That's it.
But Mayor, this question is actually not for you, but this question is actually for either Jerusik or Angela Smith, because Angela Smith was still here. And Angela Smith is the individual who communicated
Trustee,
with
we're not
the
housing
board.
4 or 5 years back. It's in the paperwork. It's in the paperwork.
Okay, I hear what you're saying, but
So,
I'm
can we move
communicating.
on? So I'm gonna move on with the meeting.
So I have a question, and my question is to
You can
Attorney
schedule time to
Jerusik
speak to
or
Attorney Jerusik, or you
Angela.
can schedule time
When did
to
they
speak to
find
community
out
development.
that, I'm sorry?
You can schedule time to speak to the community development, or you can
The
schedule time
community
to...
should want to know probably as well. Because if this board is in the dark on when this village found out that
When
we
you
were
got the
able to
deed?
sell property, when did it?
You
Yeah, I have the deed, but I'm just trying to figure out, when did they find out?
That the deed,
I have the
that
deed
the
because I
deed
requested
didn't have a
it.
script.
I have the deed because I requested the deed, but I'm trying to
Well, you
figure out.
have
when
the
did-
deed, you have the
when-
deed because it was on the board packet when you actually voted to receive the property. Because let's be clear, you voted to receive the property, trustee, that was about 4 years ago. So you voted to receive the property with the deed, that was very clear. What you got was a copy of something that you had for 4 years.
No, listen, I understand what I have. I'm asking you, and I'm not even asking you the question. I'm
Again,
asking
trustee,
the
I'm
attorney
gonna
or
ask that
Angela, when did they
you
find
speak-
that?
Mayor, can we go on?
Yeah, I'm gonna go on to village attorney report, you're more than welcome to speak to either one of them at any time.
So they don't want to clear up the community when they found out?
It's because it's not clear up for the community trustee. The
And you
deed-
have your board telling you they were,
I have you that voted on the deed to receive
I
the
did vote
property,
on the
that
deed.
didn't properly read the deed. That's what that's
so
what
now
I have.
you're challenging my intelligence. That's what we're doing tonight.
I'm challenging the reality that you voted on the deed.
That's what, you know what, that's what we're gonna do? That's what we're gonna do.
You voted on the
Okay.
deed.
That's what we're gonna do. Now you're gonna, okay, all right.
Okay, village attorney's report.
I got it.
Does anybody have any questions for the village attorney's report? All right. Hearing none, we're gonna move over to trustee committee, but there's no report. We're gonna remove the memo, and then we're also gonna remove old business for tonight. And then we're gonna go into, we need a motion to go into, to suspend regular public meeting and go into public hearing. Public hearing to consider approval on the ordinance amending the designating ordinance and governing intergovernmental agreement of the West Regional Enterprise Zone relative to the limitations on tax abatements. So I need a motion to suspend and go into public. Motion by trustee Sanchez, Williams, second by trustee Peppers. So Williams and Peppers. Please call the roll.
Trustee Williams.
Aye.
Trustee Sanchez.
Aye.
Trustee Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Lightfoot. Trustee Peppers. Trustee Brandon.
Aye.
Mayor Booker.
Aye.
Motion carried.
All right, time is now 7:33. We're gonna call the meeting to order and do a roll call in regards to an agenda for the public hearing for proposed amendments to the designated ordinance and governing intergovernmental agreement of the West Regional Enterprise Zone relative to limitations on the tax abatement. Please call the roll.
Trustee Williams.
Here.
Trustee Sanchez.
Here.
Trustee Jones.
Here.
Trustee Lightfoot. Trustee Peppers.
Here.
Trustee Brandon.
Here.
Mayor Booker.
Here. All right, so acknowledgement of the public hearing notice published in the newspaper.
That was done in the Sun Times and the Village Free Press.
And then we have, in your board packet was information in regards to the proposed ordinance amending the designating ordinance and governing intergovernmental agreement of the West Regional Enterprise Zone relative to the limitations on the tax abatement by the village attorney and community development director. So we'll move into discussion of the proposed ordinance approving and amending the designating ordinance and governing intergovernmental agreement of the West Regional Enterprise Zone relative to limitations on tax abatements. Are there any questions or comments from the board?
And just quickly comment, 2018, village went from its own enterprise zone to a regional enterprise zone. This is a housekeeping matter. The Enterprise Zone Act requires whenever we have overlap in enterprise zone and TIF district, we cannot have an incentive such as a tax abatement for the property tax. We need to make an amendment to both the designating ordinance and the IGA that just basically says that and tracks that statute, because our enterprise zone spans our entire taxing body. And we also have a couple of TIFs currently in there. We're looking at forming 4 new TIFs. So this is a housekeeping item that needs to be approved in order to move forward with the 4 new TIFs.
Okay, questions by the public and public comment? Hearing none, final questions and comments by board members. Need a motion to recommend approval of the ordinance amending the designating ordinance and governing intergovernmental agreement of the West Regional Enterprise Zone relative to limitations on tax abatements.
So moved.
So moved by trustee Williams. I need a second.
Second.
Second by trustee Sanchez. Please call the roll.
Trustee Williams.
Aye.
Trustee Sanchez.
Aye.
Trustee Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Lightfoot. Trustee Peppers.
Aye.
Trustee Brandon.
Aye.
Mayor Booker.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, need a motion to close public hearing and return to the agenda for the May 8th, 2024 combined committee of whole and special village board meeting.
So moved.
So moved by trustee Williams. Second by trustee Lightfoot. Please call the roll.
Trustee Williams.
Aye.
Trustee Sanchez.
Aye.
Trustee Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Lightfoot. Trustee Peppers.
Aye.
Trustee Brandon.
Aye.
Mayor Booker.
Aye.
Motion carried.
All right, reconvening public hearing meeting at 7:37. Please call the roll.
Trustee Williams.
Here.
Trustee Sanchez.
Here.
Trustee Jones.
Here.
Trustee Lightfoot. Trustee Peppers.
Here.
Trustee Brandon.
Here.
Mayor Booker.
Here.
Quorum present.
All right, I need a motion to approve the omnibus agenda, items A through L.
Motion approved.
Motion to approve by trustee Sanchez, second by trustee Lightfoot. Please read the omnibus agenda.
Letter A, motion to approve the monthly financial report in the amount of $844,487.08. Letter B, motion to approve the warrant list number 200549, dated April 30th, 2024, in the amount of $2,781,535.51. Letter C, motion to waive competitive bidding and approve the purchase of 3 Ford F-250 trucks from Joseph Ford of Overland Park, used by Public Works Department and Land and Buildings Department, and for the expenditure of general fund dollars to complete the purchase in the amount of $191,964.09. Letter D, motion to waive competitive bidding and ratify the approval of payment of an invoice dated April 30th, 2024, and issued by Franzen Plumbing, Inc. of Woodville, Illinois, for the completion of emergency repair work at the fire station regarding the purchase and installation of a commercial water heater in the amount of $15,650. Letter E, ordinance authorizing the creation and issuance of a Class N bar and grill liquor license for Exclusive Bar and Grill, doing business as Exclusive Bar and Grill, located at 406 South Fifth Avenue, Maywood, Illinois. Letter F, ordinance amending the designation ordinance and governing intergovernmental agreement of the West Regional Enterprise Zone relative to limitations on tax abatements. Letter G, ordinance authorizing the approval and execution of the low bid response and construction agreement with the lowest responsive and qualified bidder, Tribute Construction Inc., for the completion of the 2024 roadway improvements project and the appropriation and expenditure of the Madison Street, Fifth Avenue TIF District funds to pay for the project. Project cost was $1,862,766.50. The project locations were 6th Avenue from Wilcox to Legion, 7th Avenue from Wilcox to Legion, 8th Avenue from Wilcox to Legion, Legion Street from 5th Avenue to 9th Avenue, and 6th Avenue from Legion Street to Green Street. Letter H, ordinance authorizing the approval and execution of the low bid response and construction agreement with the lowest responsive and qualified bidder, Tribute Construction Inc., for the completion of the 2024 South Maywood Drive Road Improvements Project, West Village Limits to 19th Avenue, and appropriation and expenditure of the Madison Street, Fifth Avenue TIF District funds, and American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, state and local fiscal recovery funds, assistant listing number 21.027, provided under the 2024 sub-recipient agreement through the Invest in Cook program to pay for the project. The project cost was $942,711.50. Letter I, ordinance agreement. Ordinance authorizing the approval and execution of an intergovernmental agreement between the Village of Maywood and the Village of Broadview relative to Phase 1 engineering for Roosevelt Road, North Side, streetscape improvements project located between 13th and 9th Avenues within the Roosevelt Road Tax Increment Financing District, and for the appropriation and expenditure of Roosevelt Road Tax Increment Financing District funds to pay for the Maywood share of the project costs and other TIF eligible redevelopment costs related to the project. Letter J, resolution authorizing the approval and execution of the intergovernmental agreement to be entered into between the County of Cook and the Village of Maywood for the acceptance of a $500,000 grant of Build Up Cook funds to pay for the purchase and installation of the replacement pump hose backup generator, a replacement police station backup generator, and to pay for certain mechanical upgrades at the police station, and for the appropriation and expenditure of such funds to pay for the purchases and the completion of the installation and renovation work. Letter K, resolution authorizing the approval and execution of real estate contract for the purchase of 1504 South First Avenue property. L, resolution approving and authorizing the selection of Edwin Hancock Engineering Company under qualified based selection QBS process to perform the design engineering services relative to Fifth Avenue and Main Street multi-modal access improvements project as funded under the Regional Transportation Authority Access to Transit Planning Grants.
Okay. Please call the roll.
Trustee Williams.
Aye.
Trustee Sanchez.
Aye.
Trustee Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Lightfoot. Trustee Peppers. Trustee Brandon.
Aye.
Mayor Booker.
Aye.
Motion carried.
All right, we are under new business. Resolution approving the appointment of Franklin Torres as village manager and approving and authorizing the execution of an employment agreement for village manager with Frank Torres with a copy of the employment agreement attached to resolution as Exhibit A. Need a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Williams, second by Trustee Sanchez.
Second.
Mayor.
Trustee Brandon.
I just want to address the residents of the Village of Maywood and just explain my stance on this particular candidate for the role as the village manager. Nothing personal against the candidate or against Frank, who's actually serving, been in the role for probably the past 6 months as the interim village manager. But for me, the reason why I will be casting my vote in the manner that I will be doing so tonight, which will be a no vote, is simply because we, as a board, had the opportunity to review 2 candidates' resumes and hear from both candidates who applied for the position. A young lady by the name of Deb Warzak, I believe her last name, and then our assistant village manager, Frank Torres, who's been in the position for 6 months as the assistant village manager. And so when we're looking for somebody for this role, it's one of the most important jobs that we have as a village board, and I take this very seriously. Unfortunately, I can't say the same for my colleagues in regards to identifying someone who has the background, the experiences that is most certainly needed in the Village of Maywood. One candidate had over 16 years of experience as it relates to being a village manager and a village administrator, and the other candidate, again, in the role as an assistant village manager for 6 months. And so for me, as it relates to making a decision, our goal, or should be, is to identify the best qualified and competent person for the position. And so we had 2 people to apply. One individual stood out the most for me, which was Dan, based on her extensive background and experience.
Trustee,
And
please do not mention the other
Sure,
candidate.
sure.
His name, thank you.
Sure. The other candidate, the young lady who applied, who had extensive background and experience in village government, municipal government, and has served in the role again for over 16 years. And for some of the language that was utilized as we were conversing of, the candidates and, just what was happening in the midst of the conversation in regards to salaries and things of that nature was just totally out of line for me and was giving me flashbacks to the Chastity Wells Armstrong days. And so for me, as it relates to this particular role and particular position, I advocated that we bring on, the most qualified for the role, but it appears that that wasn't the same sentiment as my colleagues. And I just, to residents of Maywood, to be involved and be engaged and really, understand, the importance of having the right people in the right places. And so I will be making a no vote based on the information that was presented before me, based on the skills and the experiences of both candidates that I reviewed. And it is, with that I will be making sure that I do what's in the best interest of the residents of Maywood, and my vote will be a no on this particular candidate.
Thank you, Trustee Brandon. Couple of points of clarity. There were more than 2 applicants that applied for the position. We've actually been interviewing to replace the position, and Jim came in with us as an interim in July of 2022. So we've actually been looking for a village manager for almost 2 years. Jim was supposed to stay temporarily for maybe 100, 120 days max. God has blessed us with him for 2 years almost. We have definitely interviewed other candidates in previous months. There were other candidates that applied but took other opportunities and took other positions. I think that when we came up with the idea of the assistant village manager position that Frank assumed seven months ago, the board and the understanding from the conversation that was had at the board meeting was we were looking for somebody that we would hire as the village manager. So at the time, we actually were looking at hiring 2 to 3 candidates to become candidates for village manager. One of those candidates did not take the role because they had other benefits that we weren't able to give them. Another candidate wasn't able to take the role for personal reasons. Frank took on the role. Frank paused his honeymoon because he had just gotten married. Because the first week Frank came on, there were 11 water main breaks in the village of Maywood. And Frank is the person who was able to identify multiple businesses that had to jump, because it was all hands on deck, more than just the public works department, to actually get those 11 water main breaks done. It has been Frank to work with public works and building and code to get some organizational structure in place. It has been Frank that has worked with community development to work on bringing economic development and developers to the village of Maywood. It has been Frank that has worked with staff and worked with various different department heads. Because of Frank's previous history, it has been Frank that we can now drive past 4 brand new parks installed, not just conversation, but installed, after we have not replaced those parks in 20 to 25 plus years. So for me, Frank has been extremely active for 7 months, and I don't see anybody else at this time that I would want in the role but Frank. So I think there's always a difference of opinion, and I think that's why we call the roll. So with that said, if you could please call the roll.
Trustee Williams?
Aye.
Trustee Sanchez?
Aye.
Trustee Jones?
No.
Trustee Lightfoot?
Aye.
Trustee Peppers?
No.
Trustee Brandon?
No.
Mayor Booker?
Aye.
Motion carried.
All right, with that said, we have a new village manager for the village of Maywood. So there's two parts that we're going to do. We're going to acknowledge Jim for his sacrifice over the past almost 2 years. Jim definitely came in at a toxic time within the village of Maywood, and he definitely has worked to make my life, department heads' lives, and the village of Maywood lives better and at more peace. If if Jim's wife didn't make him go home right now, he'd probably still be here with us. So I honestly appreciate the last 2 years that I've been able to play back and forth tennis on ideas, looking at things a different way, sometimes disagreements, for somebody who definitely has been an asset to my personal growth and development and to the growth and development of the village of Maywood. So with that said, we're definitely going to present Jim with a plaque of appreciation and just saying, in recognition of your leadership, dedication, and distinguished service to the village of Maywood, thank you for making a difference in our community and moving Maywood forward together. Mayor Nathaniel George Booker and Board of Trustees, May 8th, 2024. To Jim Christie. With Jim, and then we'll go into the swearing in for Frank.
Yeah, I know, but I don't.
Another boy, Jim.
Maywood.
Maywood.
Thank you all. No, I'm just going to stand up here and shout, but, I've been probably around longer than I wish I were. I wish I were a whole lot young like all of these guys here. Well, Melvin, you can stay with me. He and I probably see eye to eye a lot of times as well. But I really have worked in a number of different places. This, and I'm not just saying it, this was one of the more satisfying. Mayor was right. It was a bit unstable. I don't know if I want to go with toxic, but maybe that's true. But it was unstable, but it was such a challenge, and it was so rewarding. And everybody here has been just as welcoming can be. Frank's going to walk into a great community that people are nice, they're friendly, they're happy, they're here to help. And I really can honestly say that I never worked with a better group of people ever, and it's killing me to leave.
Don't kill you.
My wife is key, but this is killing me because this is all I really know, and it's going to be hard for me to retire. But thank you all so much. I appreciate it.
Trustee Jones.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up with what you said, Jim. I just want to personally thank you as well. You were here a lot longer than we had intended, so you did for the task that you had at hand. You definitely did a great job. So I just wanted to mimic the mayor and thank you, because Maywood is not an easy job, and Frank's going to find that out very shortly. And I did want to explain, because Frank's probably thinking, well, he's got hopes over me. He's always nice to him. So it's nothing personal. I just want to explain to the community. I think Frank's going to do a great job. So the mayor, did mention some of the things that you kind of came in and were kind of all hands on deck on that water main thing and parks and stuff, and you're taking it and killing it. So I'm going to support you. The reason why I just want to explain is because the next time I voted for a village manager, I wanted it to be the permanent role. I think that's what the board had committed to. And just given the time frame, we can't offer anything outside the mayoral term. And so I just wanted to explain that it had nothing to do with this. I was probably going to, off principle and time, say I was going to vote no, just to let the community know, like, hey, I recognize what I committed to the town. And so, but with that being said, Frank, you have my support. You know, despite my vote, I had to timestamp it. It's government, so there's nothing personal. But man, I'm happy to have you here. Look forward to working with you. Thanks for what you've done so far, and look forward to the transition. I'm sure it's going to be smooth. I just want to say that. Look forward to you kind of leading our town. Thanks.
Just a quick point of clarity, you are the permanent village manager. We did not just vote in an interim, we voted in a village manager. So you are permanent, and you're not going anywhere. So, with that said, Frank, come on up. Clerk's gonna come on down and swear you in. You got the new Everybody got their angles? I just,
Wait, Miss Faye. Miss Faye. Get this. Mikey.
Okay, Frank, let's get this started.
you can share under the picture.
Repeat after me. The Village of Maywood Statement of Oath. I, Frank Torres,
I, Frank Torres,
have been appointed to office of the Village of Manager
I've been appointed to the office of the village manager
in the Village of Maywood,
in the village of Maywood,
County of Cook,
County of Cook,
State of Illinois.
State of Illinois,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States,
of the United States,
the Constitution of
the Constitution of
the State of Illinois,
the State of Illinois,
and I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability.
dated this date
Dated this date
of the 8th day
of the 8th day
of May 2024.
of May 2024.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, y'all, take a picture of Frank.
You want to get right there? With the height? The height? The height.
Okay, you need to go next to the front.
One, two, three, Maywood.
Maywood.
Maywood. Where's home, Wood? We'll see.
Don't tell nobody.
We're almost done. One more thing. All right. One more thing is just to welcome the new village manager and allow him to share a few words.
I just want to say I'm very humbled and honored to serve the village of Maywood and its residents. I'd like to thank my family and friends for coming by, supporting me. And I will do my best and work very hard.
Also want to acknowledge also Committeeman Landeck as well, and just showcasing how great Frankfurt is. All right, with that said, I need a motion to go into closed session to discuss the appointment and employment compensation, discipline, performance, and dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for public body, collective negotiating matters between the village and its employees or their representatives, or the deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees, and then pending litigation. Trustee Brandon motion, second by Trustee Williams. Please call the roll.
Trustee Williams. Trustee Jenkins.
Aye.
Trustee Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Lightford. Trustee Peppers. Trustee Brandon.
Aye.
Mayor Booker.
Aye.
Motion carried.
All right, there's some cake in the back and everything. It's a small celebration. Definitely want to have everybody enjoy it. Thank you all so much for coming, and God bless.